Hey guys, welcome out to the range. I've been waiting for a while to do this video because I needed to find a phrase that fit the subject matter. If you ever trained with Dave Spalding, you know I'm going to give you the first few words. Don't be a grip. Don't settle for a grip. Okay? There's a little cussage going on in there. I had to come up with a G-rated version of that phrase, and it goes like this. Don't be a grip dip. Don't settle for a slip grip. And the reason I wanted to make sure that I had a G-rated version of that is because I know that there are people who watch my videos with their children and they use my videos as training aids. Because let's face it, there's no easier way to train a young person by saying, would you please just watch this video and you'll see what I'm talking about. Because guys, I do the same thing too. So a great example is my daughter right now my daughter's 19 and she's car shopping, and I send her to Scotty Kilmer's channel because Scotty Kilmer has a very concise way of presenting ideas in regards to vehicles that are very straightforward. So anyways, so this video is in response to a video that I released not too long ago where the comment section, which is what happens sometimes, the comment section went in a completely different direction. And I talked about, don't waste good ammo on bad reps or something like that. And people were like, no, you should push through. Okay, stop. You don't know what you're talking about. And the reason I say this to you is when you're training, if you're in a class in front of an instructor and the clock is running and you got what you got, then you take what you get. But when it's your training time and you're investing your hard-earned ammo, because this is money, then you don't waste good ammo on a bad rep. And what that boils down to is, when I go for my shirt, if I don't get it clean, and by the way guys, this is a slapping effect to get to this shirt, because when you slap at the shirt, the fabric essentially puckers up like this and allows you, by the impact, not friction, it's the compression of air, and that little pocket of air that still exists between my shirt, my undershirt, and my skin. There are layers of air, and if I reach for it, I might slide off, especially with this type of fabric. This fabric is, I mean, you can see through this stuff. It's very porous. So I need to be able to slap it to create enough of a disturbance in the fabric so I can actually have something to snatch onto. And no matter how many times you hear the sunshine of, you're going to have to clear your garment, stop, because even the people who teach that don't actually do it. And I've been there in class when they get caught by this thing, and they don't do this. They basically do this. And honestly, that's already a little high as it is. Actually, it's more like this, and then it's up and out. So when you're doing this, and I say this to people all the time, my students, you've heard me say this, take your firearm and unload your firearm, and take that ammunition and the round that's in the chamber and take it out of the room, and then practice drawing on yourself in the mirror. If you have a full-length mirror in your bedroom, practice drawing on yourself at your own face in the mirror. And what you're going to find is when you aim your gun at your own face, you're not going to see the gun in the mirror. All you're going to see is your face on your front sight post. So you get the effect of training on a target that has a stencil on it, because you're actually aiming at yourself in the mirror. So you stand off I'd say probably stand 10 feet away from your mirror, because then that mimics 20 feet of distance. And then you're aiming, because remember guys, you're not aiming at a 10-foot mirror in front of you, you're aiming at your image 20 feet within that mirror. It's just, trust me, just try it, you'll see what I'm talking about. And what you get is this side picture of, holy crap, that's really quite cool, because all you see is yourself there. And you do this, doesn't have to be a bunch of times, just do it for a few minutes. Get in a fighting stance, practice getting that, see, skipped off, my hand skipped off. Practice getting that. I'm glad this is actually happening on camera. The slap, getting a handful of shirt, and getting the gun up fast. And you'll notice that I did a little bit of a herky-jerk pause. Yeah, actually, 2 seconds. This is why having this in the room with you helps. Now, of course, you're not going to get a bang to stop that, but what you're going for is the hope of being able to get the gun up, finger on trigger, and have the trigger either pressed, or in this case, because I'm still dealing with a chambered weapon at the moment, have at least halfway on that trigger, which, by the way, is a good practice to get into, so you automatically know where the wall is on your trigger in case something changes in that fight and you have to apply forgiveness rather than deadly force. Ooh, that was bad. Oh, that was bad, and as I was punching it out, I realized what I'd done. My support hand, index finger, ended up here rather than here. Oh, there it goes again. Nope, nope. What you find is that when you make the draw, you're target fixated. So your gun comes up and you're still target fixated, and now you have to be sight or optic. If you have an optic on your gun, you have to either be optic fixated or sight fixated. This changes everything. Doing this, even in your bedroom, changes everything, because what you end up with when you're doing this, it gives you the opportunity to run reps where you get it out there and you focus on your front sight. And I'd love to be able to tell you it's a hard focus. Man, the few times that I've been involved in nasty things as a cop and my gun had to come out, I was not truly capable of giving a hard sight focus. It was a fuzzy picture. Anyone who's ever been a cop understands what I'm about to say. And this is specific to cops, because for a soldier, it's a whole other thing. And I know this because I've talked to soldiers about this. But for us cops, it's a different animal. As a police officer, your gun comes out on a fairly regular basis. But there's a moment where it goes from here or here to here. And you realize, now I'm going to have to take this guy's life. I really don't want to have to take his life, but he's done something that's forced me to have to pull that trigger. This is a moment in time that will change your life. If you pull that trigger and have to take the life of that person, it has irrevocably changed your life. If you point that gun and you have the resolution in your mind that I am going to do this, I'm following through, I'm going to have to do this, and then something changes, you then reach a moment where I did, where you ask yourself, I made the decision to shoot. In my case, the Holy Spirit stopped me from having to shoot that man. And I'm so grateful for that. But there's a moment in time where I made the decision, and years later, I went over that thought process and I realized that part of who I was then had a little edge of bloodlust. And it concerned me that was it righteous indignation, or was it, man, I don't even know how to, guys, this is a hard thing to quantify. For me, I knew that part of what led me to that moment in time was a lack of true understanding of the value of life. It's a scary thing to say because I was a police officer at the time. And guys, I got news for you. I'm not alone. There are so many cops out there that don't have a respect for human life, which is why we have seen police officers the world over taking advantage of the populace, because they're being given evil commands and they're following them. So listen to what I'm saying to you. It's irrefutable proof. We've all seen it. In the years since that event that happened to me, I have come to the realization that there was a lack of understanding of the true value of life, and that bothered me. That changed me. I didn't have to shoot this guy for it to change me irrevocably. I know I've kind of gone off on a side trail in this video, but like I've said to you guys before, I'm doing my best to give you guys as much knowledge and truth as possible. it made me realize that all the reps that I had done on paper had made that real human being that night be just another piece of paper to me. And that bothered me. Now I take this, no pun intended, I take this very deadly serious, and which is why I tend to aim for face shots, because I know that face shots are going to stop that fight with the least amount of shots fired and the least amount of potential of that person doing any more evil than anybody else out here. That's why I'm so focused on very rapidly stopping fights with one bullet if I possibly can. When you're doing this, you may or may not be capable of having a hard front sight focus. You may only be able to have a target fixation and a very loose sight, can't even really call it a sight fixation. A hard target fixation because this person's trying to kill you, or you're going to have to shoot this person. So the point is that person is your focal point. And you may only be able to have a loose sight picture. And that's something you're going to have to get accustomed to doing, which is why this technique has to be practiced in your bedroom with a full-length mirror, or wherever your full-length mirror happens to be in the house. It has to be practiced over and over and over because you have to get accustomed to what that sight picture looks like. When that gun comes out, don't waste a bullet if you don't have the proper grip on that gun, because the success of the fight begins here. People say the fight is usually won by the guy that gets the first shot on target. Well, I'd say to you, the fight is usually won, and there's enough video proof of what I'm saying now. Okay, there is enough video proof of what I'm saying now. The fight usually is won by the person who hits that person where it really matters. How's that? There's a saying that goes, how's that go? Hits only matter if they hit something that matters. Something like that. Hits only matter if you hit something that really matters. And what that's referring to is, sure, I could hit this guy in the shoulder. I could hit this guy, down here in the hip. Oh, right, there's all that kind of crap. I'm not going to go down that rabbit trail. That used to be taught to us as cops, and even when that was being taught, I went, who thought this was, oh, never mind, the attorneys thought this was a good idea. So we ended up with a bunch of cops shooting people in the dinglings. Yeah, the hip shot. Anyways, but if I center punch this guy right in the face, anywhere from, and I mean, guys, anywhere from here up, any bullet strike on any portion of the anatomy from here up is an instantaneous fight disruptor, which is another way of saying an instantaneous fight ender. Now, it may be a fight ender briefly, or it may be a fight ender permanently, because everything from here up leans more toward the switch side than it does toward the timer side. And what I mean by that is, and I'll close with this, the human body is comprised of timers and switches. If I hit enough timers, I throw the switch. And what that's referring to is, if I start nicking major blood vessels in the body, then I've started hitting switches on that person. And if they sanguinate enough, they will lose consciousness and they will fall over. And then they may not be dead, but they are no longer combat effective. Or if I get a perfect dead center hit, no pun intended, a perfect dead center hit and it hits the cerebellum, that person switches off. So, I'm sorry, I think I said switches earlier. If I hit enough timers, which are going to be major blood vessels, I start that clock, and eventually those timers throw the switch. Or if I flat out hit the switch and it takes out the brainstem, that fight's permanently over. So the landmarks have to be understood for what they are. Man, this video has gone in several different directions, but like I've said to you guys before, we now have, at last estimate, it's 11 million. We now have 11 million new firearms owners that are desperately searching for knowledge. And that's what I'm trying to do on this channel. And guys, I'm telling you, I absolutely know that we have crap tons of people buying firearms, because as an FFL, on a daily basis, I have alerts that come to me from the Tennessee Instant Check system that basically say, the system is done, please be patient with us, we're working through the backlog as quickly as we possibly can. And then however long later, another email comes through that says, the system is back up again, thank you for your patience, and the next day it's the same thing. So I'm telling you, just in the little slice of America called Tennessee, I know that there are a lot of firearms being purchased. So guys, I'm doing my best to give you as much knowledge as I can in the most concise fashion possible. So if you have any questions or concerns, because I know this video's kind of gone off in several different rabbit trails, leave your comments below. I'll do my best to answer them. As always, I thank you guys for watching. God bless you all. Get those guns out and practice. Have a good one.